Imagine this. It's an ordinary evening. You're at home, maybe scrolling through your phone or catching up on the news. Suddenly, the screen goes blank and your lights flicker out. Within minutes, the power grid fails, cell towers go down, and chaos begins to ripple across the country. You quickly realize this isn't just a power outage. Something far more serious is happening, a catastrophic attack on America. In a world where life as we know it can be turned upside down in an instant, being prepared isn't just smart, it's essential. Today, we'll cover 7 life-saving preparations you need to make before a crisis strikes. From securing your financial future to safeguarding your food and water, these preps aren't about living in fear. They're about ensuring you and your loved ones have the tools to survive no matter what. So stay tuned, because in the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the essentials you can't afford to overlook. Number 7. Stockpile precious metals and cash. Imagine a world where economic and digital systems collapse overnight. No access to online banking, credit cards, or even ATMs. For those relying solely on digital transactions, such a scenario would be financially devastating. In an era where these systems could be disrupted due to cyber attacks, natural disasters, or global conflicts, having a reserve of cash and precious metals becomes not just a safety measure, but a financial lifeline. Stockpiling small denominations of cash is essential because, in the initial days or weeks of a crisis, cash often becomes the go-to currency. Small bills like 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s are ideal, as it's unlikely people will have change for larger denominations. While cash will be practical in the short term, it may not retain its value in prolonged crises, where hyperinflation renders paper currency worthless. Precious metals like gold and silver have historically been excellent hedges against such economic instability. Silver coins, in particular, are highly practical for bartering, as they are small and easy to trade. During Venezuela's economic collapse, citizens turned to gold and silver jewelry to acquire essential goods when hyperinflation eroded the value of cash. This example underscores the importance of precious metals as a store of value in times of crisis. They not only retain purchasing power, but often increase in value as more people seek to secure their wealth. Following the 2008 financial crisis, for instance, gold prices skyrocketed by over 300% as investors scrambled to protect their assets. The same could happen in any future crisis, especially with rising geopolitical tensions. Waiting until panic sets in to buy physical gold or silver could mean facing inflated prices or limited availability. Investing in precious metals now is a way to ensure you're financially prepared, regardless of the world's economic climate. In times of uncertainty, these assets provide security that digital forms of currency simply cannot. Number 6. Prepare a robust communications plan. In the event of a crisis, conventional digital communication systems are often the first to fail. Overwhelmed networks, downed cell towers, and unreliable internet connections make it nearly impossible to contact loved ones or access critical updates. Building a communications plan that doesn't solely depend on digital devices is essential for ensuring your ability to stay connected during emergencies. Start by making a physical list of important contact information, including phone numbers and addresses of family, friends, and local emergency services. Relying on your phone's memory is risky, as its battery could die, or it could become damaged, leaving you without access to vital information. Keeping this information on paper might seem old-fashioned, but it's one of the most reliable steps you can take. Consider learning to use a ham radio. Obtaining a ham radio license is a straightforward process, and it opens up a range of communication options that don't depend on cell towers or internet connections. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, which affected over 50 million people across the US and Canada, cell networks were overwhelmed within hours. Ham radios proved invaluable for communication in that disaster, as they provided a reliable alternative for long-distance communication. In a geopolitical climate where threats to infrastructure are a real concern, having a ham radio is an important part of a crisis communication strategy. This tool allows you to stay connected with both local and distant contacts, access emergency broadcasts, and potentially coordinate with others in your area. Ham radios are invaluable during emergencies, but don't stop there. Backup power options, like hand crank or solar-powered radios, can also help you stay informed if power grids go down. Having this system in place provides more than just a way to communicate. It's a way to access critical information. If local authorities issue evacuation orders, update citizens on dangerous weather patterns, or broadcast emergency supplies locations, you won't miss out. By ensuring your communication plan is robust, you're protecting your family's ability to make informed decisions during a crisis. Number 5. Food and water preparedness. If you think of a worst-case scenario, a sudden global conflict, a natural disaster, or an economic collapse, food and water are the two primary needs. Our modern food supply is intricately linked to global supply chains, which means that a significant international crisis could lead to severe shortages. Russia and Ukraine, for example, supply about 40% of the world's wheat, so a conflict in that region affects grain supplies globally. Stockpiling essential food and water before a crisis strikes is the best way to protect against the worst-case scenario. Begin by securing non-perishable foods that are nutrient-dense and easy to store. Rice, beans, pasta, canned meats, and freeze-dried meals are all excellent options because they're calorie-rich and can last for years if stored correctly. Freeze-dried foods in particular can last up to 25 years, making them ideal for long-term preparedness. It's also worth stocking up on cooking essentials, oil, salt, sugar, and spices that can make simple foods more enjoyable and lift morale during prolonged disruptions. Water storage is even more critical than food. Each family member needs at least 1 gallon of water per day, so for a 3-month supply, that's 90 gallons per person. This may seem overwhelming, but start small and increase your stock over time. Consider investing in water storage containers or rain barrels if space allows. Additionally, there's the risk of water contamination, especially in scenarios involving chemical or biological warfare. Municipal water supplies are vulnerable to contamination, which could render them unsafe to drink. To prepare for this, invest in a reliable water filtration system, such as a Berkey filter or portable purifier. These systems can remove bacteria, viruses, and even heavy metals, making them invaluable in any crisis where water quality is compromised. In emergencies, they provide a continuous source of safe drinking water, ensuring you don't need to rely on potentially dangerous sources. This kind of preparation isn't just practical, it's life-saving. While water is critical for hydration, it's also essential for cooking, cleaning, and even medical needs. Imagine trying to handle a minor injury without clean water. Stocking up on water and having the means to purify additional sources puts you a step ahead, especially as people rush to secure water in the immediate aftermath of a crisis. In sum, preparing with cash and precious metals, a reliable communication plan, and essential food and water reserves creates a foundation of resilience. These steps empower you to maintain control and protect your loved ones in times of upheaval, helping you navigate a crisis with confidence. Number 4, essential firearm and defense preparations. In a time of crisis, traditional security forces such as the police and National Guard may quickly find themselves overwhelmed, forced to prioritize critical infrastructure over individual households. The hard truth is that during periods of widespread turmoil, ensuring the safety of your family often falls squarely on your shoulders. Having reliable means of self-defense becomes paramount. If you're trained and legally permitted to own firearms, keeping at least one firearm with ample ammunition at home can offer essential security. In escalating situations where home invasions, looting, and violent outbreaks occur, firearms serve as both a physical and psychological deterrent, often dissuading potential intruders with the mere presence of a visible defense. However, self-defense preparation doesn't have to be limited to firearms alone. Non-lethal alternatives, such as pepper spray, stun guns, and tactical batons, provide a versatile layer of security and are ideal for those who either cannot own or prefer to complement firearms with additional options. These tools are portable, easy to use, and can be equally effective in deterring or incapacitating a threat. Pepper spray, for example, is compact but powerful, delivering a burst of irritating chemicals that can give you time to escape or call for help. Stun guns deliver an electric shock strong enough to disrupt a would-be attacker temporarily, providing a critical moment to get away. Tactical batons, with their compact yet durable design, can provide a solid line of defense in close encounters. Fortifying your home is also an essential element of self-defense preparation. Reinforcing your doors with deadbolts, adding barricades to windows, and installing a security system with cameras can significantly increase your household's resilience against unwanted intrusions. These measures provide multiple layers of security, making your home less appealing to those seeking an easy target. Beyond simply stopping an intruder, a visible security setup can act as a psychological deterrent. When looters or burglars see a home with robust defenses, they are more likely to move on to an easier target, knowing the risk of being caught or harmed is higher. Historical events provide valuable lessons in the importance of self-defense. After Hurricane Katrina struck in 2005, chaotic conditions left entire neighborhoods to fend for themselves as law enforcement struggled to manage the massive upheaval. In the absence of sufficient policing, some communities formed makeshift militias to defend their homes and neighborhoods, realizing that preparedness meant survival. Similarly, during the Bosnian War in the 1990s, the swift collapse of societal structures demonstrated just how vital self-defense tools were. Communities that were armed and prepared had a distinct advantage, safeguarding their properties and families in an environment where order had all but vanished. The LA riots of 1992 offer another sobering example of why relying solely on law enforcement in a large-scale crisis can be risky. Overwhelmed by widespread violence and looting, police were unable to adequately protect the affected neighborhoods. In areas like Koreatown, business owners armed themselves, taking on the responsibility of defending their shops and livelihoods. Their swift action to protect their community became an iconic example of self-defense in the absence of effective law enforcement. A national emergency highlights the need to be proactive, not just reactive, in protecting your household. When dialing 911 might not yield the swift response we often expect, having the tools and knowledge to defend oneself can mean the difference between security and vulnerability. Being prepared isn't about fear, it's about readiness. By equipping yourself and your family with self-defense tools and a secure home, you're empowering yourself to face the unexpected and take charge of your own safety. Number 3, essential medical supplies. When disaster strikes, maintaining your health becomes an absolute priority. In a world disrupted by a catastrophic event, traditional healthcare may be inaccessible, and the spread of infectious diseases can become a serious risk. Preparing with essential medical supplies, including antibiotics, burn treatments, pain relievers, and allergy medications, can help you stay resilient in the face of these health challenges. Broad-spectrum antibiotics like amoxicillin, cephalexin, and doxycycline are invaluable as first-line defenses against bacterial infections that may arise from injuries, exposure to unsanitary environments, or the lack of medical facilities. These antibiotics target a range of infections, from skin infections to respiratory and gastrointestinal illnesses, which are common in crisis scenarios. However, while having antibiotics on hand is crucial, knowing when and how to use them responsibly is equally important. Misusing antibiotics can lead to drug resistance or adverse reactions, so familiarizing yourself with basic antibiotic safety is recommended. Another essential category of medical supplies includes burn treatments, particularly relevant in the event of fires, explosions, or radiation exposure. Burn ointments, sterile dressings, and soothing aloe vera preparations are essential for treating burn injuries effectively. In a severe crisis, even minor burns can become life-threatening if they become infected. A well-stocked burn kit, complete with various size dressings and burn gel, can offer critical first aid care. Burn ointments help reduce pain and inflammation, while sterile dressings protect the wound from infection. Pain relievers and anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen or acetaminophen play a vital role in managing pain and discomfort from injuries or illness. In a crisis, the ability to alleviate pain and reduce fever can mean the difference between a manageable situation and an unbearable one. These medications help to control inflammation, which can prevent injuries from worsening. Keeping a good supply of both mild and strong pain relievers ensures you're prepared for a variety of health scenarios. While allergy medications might seem secondary, they are critical in a crisis where exposure to dust, new allergens, and stress-related immune responses might trigger unexpected allergies. Stocking antihistamines like loratadine or diphenhydramine can provide quick relief from allergic reactions, which can range from mild skin irritations to life-threatening anaphylactic responses. These medications are lightweight, easy to store, and can make a substantial difference in managing unanticipated health reactions. Beyond simply possessing these medical supplies, developing basic medical skills can vastly improve your preparedness. Knowing how to perform CPR, care for wounds, and suture cuts can save lives in the absence of healthcare professionals. Gaining skills in these areas, either through online courses or hands-on workshops, will give you confidence in handling serious injuries if professional help is unavailable. Historical accounts emphasize the importance of self-sufficiency in medical preparedness. During the Bosnian War, access to healthcare was severely limited, and essential medical supplies became as valuable as currency. Stockpiling prescription medications is also vital, especially for those with chronic conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, or asthma. In prolonged crises, the absence of necessary medications can lead to life-threatening complications. Given the chaos of crisis scenarios, securing a steady supply of these medications is a necessity rather than a luxury. The Syrian conflict offers another stark example, where roughly 70% of hospitals were damaged or destroyed, leaving millions without adequate medical care. In such conditions, traditional healthcare structures become unreliable, if not completely unavailable. Preparing with a personal medical supply and developing essential healthcare knowledge fosters self-reliance, ensuring you're better equipped to handle potential health challenges. Taking a proactive approach in preparing essential medical supplies and self-defense measures doesn't merely prepare you for the worst, it instills peace of mind. Knowing you've done everything possible to protect yourself and your family ensures a level of empowerment, allowing you to face uncertainty with resilience and readiness. Number 2. Shielding against radiation with potassium iodide. As global tensions rise, the looming potential for nuclear conflict has become an unfortunate reality. Recent warnings from Russia make it clear that any serious attack on its territory could escalate to an unprecedented nuclear response. What once seemed like a remote scenario, best left in history, now represents a modern threat that demands a proactive approach to preparedness. In the event of a nuclear strike, devastating radioactive fallout could sweep across vast regions, endangering millions in a matter of hours. Preparing for such an outcome has become essential, not optional, and potassium iodide, Ki, stands out as a critical component in radiation defense. When a nuclear event releases radioactive particles, iodine-131, one of the most dangerous isotopes, can spread through the air and settle on the ground, contaminating everything it touches. This radioactive iodine, when inhaled or consumed, heads straight to the thyroid gland. As a highly sensitive organ that regulates hormones, the thyroid is particularly vulnerable to radioactive iodine, which can cause severe damage and increase the likelihood of thyroid cancer, especially in children and young adults. Potassium iodide, however, works as a powerful shield against this threat by flooding the thyroid with non-radioactive, stable iodine. When taken promptly, it prevents the thyroid from absorbing the harmful iodine-131, significantly reducing the risk of radiation-related thyroid issues. Time is a critical factor when taking potassium iodide. To be effective, it must be ingested as soon as possible after radiation exposure, ideally within a few hours. Once ingested, it saturates the thyroid, making it full of stable iodine, which minimizes the uptake of any radioactive iodine that might be circulating in the body or the environment. This protection, however, isn't permanent. Ki only offers temporary shielding and may need to be taken daily, depending on the duration of exposure to radioactive particles. To be fully prepared, experts advise stockpiling a 2-week supply of potassium iodide per individual in the household, ensuring enough for the critical early days following an incident. Each dose matters greatly. For adults, the recommended dosage is 130 mg per day, while children should take 65 mg. Adhering to these guidelines helps maximize effectiveness while minimizing risks associated with excessive iodine intake. This is especially important because potassium iodide is not without its side effects, which can include nausea, stomach upset, and in rare cases, allergic reactions. However, these side effects are often minor compared to the severe consequences of radiation exposure. Beyond simply having potassium iodide on hand, understanding proper dosage and administration is vital. For younger children, especially those under 1 year of age, precise dosing is essential, as even minor deviations can lead to complications. It's worth considering dividing doses or consulting with a healthcare provider to develop a plan tailored to each family member. In regions prone to nuclear risks, governments have occasionally provided potassium iodide to residents, but relying on government-supplied Ki can leave individuals vulnerable. In the chaotic aftermath of a nuclear event, supplies could be overwhelmed, leaving many without access to this life-saving treatment. Ensuring an ample, personally managed stockpile provides peace of mind, especially when government supplies may be limited or delayed. Historical data, like that from the Chernobyl disaster, serves as a powerful reminder of potassium iodide's importance. Those who were exposed to radiation without the protective measure of Ki saw a dramatic rise in thyroid cancer and other thyroid-related health issues. When every second counts, having potassium iodide on hand is an invaluable defense for you and your loved ones. As global instability continues to heighten the potential for nuclear threats, potassium iodide has become far more than a prepper's item. It's a safeguard for maintaining health in the face of disaster, offering the best possible shield for one's thyroid when the unthinkable happens. Number 1. Securing energy independence. Imagine a sudden, nationwide blackout with no power, lights, or internet. This chilling scenario isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. In 1962, during the high-altitude nuclear test Starfish Prime, the United States observed the effects of an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, strong enough to knock out electronics up to 900 miles away. Such an event on a nationwide scale would have disastrous consequences, potentially leaving entire regions without power for extended periods. The Congressional EMP Commission has even warned that a major EMP attack or massive grid failure could result in up to 90% of the population struggling to survive within a year due to breakdowns in infrastructure, food supply, water, and healthcare. When faced with this reality, securing a degree of energy independence becomes not just smart, but essential. Gasoline generators have long been a staple in emergency preparedness, allowing households to power critical devices such as refrigerators, medical equipment, and even heating or cooling systems when electricity is unavailable. However, gasoline is finite and can be hard to come by in an extended crisis, particularly if fuel supply chains are disrupted or rationed. If relying on a gasoline generator, it's prudent to keep multiple gas cans on hand and consider fuel stabilizers to extend the shelf life of stored fuel, making it viable for months or even years. But since gas availability may dwindle, planning for a more sustainable alternative is crucial. Solar generators and solar panels provide a renewable, sustainable solution, especially effective for powering smaller devices such as radios, lights, and charging batteries for essential tools. Unlike gasoline generators, solar power doesn't rely on an external fuel supply. Solar generators work by harnessing sunlight and converting it to electricity, which can be stored in built-in batteries. This form of clean energy can provide a small but steady stream of power, keeping vital devices operational. Transitioning to solar or hybrid systems can offer an invaluable layer of energy independence, especially in situations where traditional fuels may be unavailable or unfeasible. In the event of a complete grid failure, hand-cranked or battery-operated flashlights and radios become invaluable. Stocking up on rechargeable batteries and having a few hand-cranked devices as backups can be a practical strategy. Radios, in particular, allow you to stay informed about emergency broadcasts and developments in your area, which could be critical if communications infrastructure is affected. Reliable light sources also reduce the risk of accidents in darkened homes and allow you to carry out necessary tasks safely, even after nightfall. For those looking to prepare for the possibility of a sustained blackout, it's important to understand the vulnerabilities of the grid. In 2003, a major blackout impacted nearly 50 million people in the US and Canada, leaving regions without power for days. This event highlighted how interconnected and fragile the power grid truly is. The situation would be far more dire if it extended over weeks or months, as the infrastructure that supports our daily lives would come under extreme strain. In such a prolonged crisis, gas stations would run dry, grocery stores could be stripped bare, and basic utilities might become memories of a time before. Preparing with a comprehensive approach to energy independence is key. Solar technology offers a lifeline, while a carefully managed fuel reserve provides immediate backup for larger energy needs. Ensuring a steady supply of battery-operated devices, rechargeable batteries, and manual energy sources like hand-cranked radios and flashlights builds resilience. Investing in these alternative energy sources today offers a level of independence that may mean the difference between enduring or struggling in a crisis. As you take action to protect against the unknown, energy preparation will grant you a level of self-reliance that can keep you secure and functional in the face of an unpredictable future. That is all for today, guys. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content.